what is the addiction? It's an escape. An escape from something that feels bad into something that feels good.
What's unique about this drug is the power with which it can activate that pleasure pathway, that reward system.
I mean, I worked narcotics in LA, and I worked heroin, I worked cocaine, I knew all that kind of stuff, but I'd never seen anything like meth.
Methamphetamine can activate that system anywhere from 10 to 50 times what naturally occurs.
I just need a boost, I need something that's gonna give me some real go.
They make decisions that are very impulsive.
Where in one case we kicked in a door.
They're not well thought out.
The guy grabbed his child like a shield and ran through the side of the house.
They don't anticipate or understand consequences.
I always felt that people always told me not to do drugs, and it just never worked for me.
Volume goes down when we have adults standing in front of us, hammering away on dangers of drugs. It just doesn't work.
As he put it after he became sober, you don't know insane until you're a drug addict.
Priority list now is number one thing in my life is getting methamphetamine. Number two thing in my life is getting methamphetamine. Number three thing is getting methamphetamine.
I still see some of the people that we've got hooked and they're still using. And that's what's sad.
It's so difficult to actually visualize life without it.
Nothing, leave me alone. I said leave me alone. Just shut up.
Nobody ever wakes up and says they're gonna be a junkie. Nobody wakes up and says they're just gonna spend every dime they have on dope.
Everything in my life, this disease has taken from me.
Once you're in that cycle, drugs just become your life.
And I'm just scared that if I slip up one time, that it might happen again.
There's heroin, meth, everywhere. There's nowhere you can't get it. There's no place it doesn't touch.
You do a little research on methamphetamine, you find out it was in fact the #1 drug problem in America. It was in fact the #1 crime problem in America.
I just thought it was gonna be something that was gonna be great, We're gonna use it, have lots of energy, and have a good time.
Eventually I ended up suffering a heart attack outside of a drug dealer's house, watching her prostitute.
I lost control.
These guys are very manipulative, they're very dishonest.
Started to steal, lie, cheat.
They're classic master manipulators.
I don't want to hurt people like that anymore. That's not the kind of person I am. And that's not the kind of person that any of these guys are.
Someone gave me the novel idea to pray, and I did that, and I realized that for about a week I hadn't thought about using.
They trust me.
We see everything from death of parents to physical and sexual abuse to divorce is a huge one at this age range, and other self-image related stuff is a lot of kind of the driving force behind a lot of their dysfunction.
I was a big pill popper in 7th and 8th grade.
I was really using meth very heavily.
I just fell into it over and over again because I was on my own. Oxycontin and crack and whatever else.
So we're really taking on a big task. One, we're dealing with substance dependence, and two, we're dealing with a lot of behavioral issues too that this age range is going to be experiencing.
Look around. Some of the people that are using look just like you and me, and some of the people that are using at the end of this look awful, and they really need us, and they really need your help, and they don't know what to do.
So, I get along all right with my parents. I mean, they're pretty cool. And I know they trust me. They trust me.
Come on, Dad! Let me in! Let me in! Let me in! Let me in! I'm gonna kill you! Let me in!
These are the kids who don't make it in the system. These are the kids that fall through the cracks and end up suspended, expelled, or just leave.
I'm 17. I've been here for 20 months, and I got sent here for not going to school, drug use, disrespect, and just not being at home really at all.
We work in tandem with the parents. That's where we're different from a state institution. When a state institution takes a child over, they have to be the parent. In our case, we work with the parents to determine what's best for the kid.
I had a really hard childhood. My father is a drug addict, an alcoholic, and wasn't there like with me my whole life and stuff. So like that's like one of the main reasons I turned to drugs.
Everything that happens here is an opportunity, and the awesome thing is the opportunity is here. They create it, somebody else creates it for them, and then they get to reflect on it. And the reflection and the ability to do that without having to worry about everyday life is what makes the difference.
My parents told me they were going to send me to rehab, and I said no way. I picked up a steak knife off the table and I tried to stab my dad.
And meanwhile, the parents in their various cities, they're working on the same thing. They go to the seminars thinking it's about them, about their kid, and that seminar facilitator's going, no, this is about you. Now, what are your self-limiting beliefs? Because it's definitely affecting the relationship in your family. So parents are in for a big shocker when they go to seminar. But it's okay. It's all right. Because in the end, the whole idea, the goal of this thing is whole and healthy families.
My drug use first started in about 7th grade when I found out that my dad was a drug user. I found a lot of his drugs a lot, and I started taking them.
You can go online and get a lot of negative press about us on the internet. There are people who truly don't understand. They think kids belong with their families all the time.
And giving them to friends at school, and thought I was cool, popular by doing drugs with them and stuff. And from there it just escalated from smoking weed to drinking. And then by 8th grade I was doing a lot of pills, prescription pills. It just kept increasing.
They don't understand the idea of taking a kid away from the neighborhood and the family and bringing him to an isolated place.
It gets to be more than you can handle, and you start doing it every day, and then soon you're skipping school.
But what I learned as a mother and an educator is I couldn't police my daughter all the time, and she needed structure I couldn't provide. I was her mother. How was I supposed to have her go through a routine like this?
And my stepbrothers introduced me to just smoking weed, and then it just gradually went up even further to doing Oxycontin and crack and whatever else, and drinking. My dad, he is an addict and an alcoholic. My sisters and my mom is a recovering alcoholic. So I come from a big family of it.
Now, what I want to show you is what's called study hall. This is where you get into all the controversy. They think, you lock up kids or you do some horrible thing to kids. No. If a kid needs a timeout, if a kid has a bad letter, if a kid has had a bad interaction with somebody, they just want to get out of the family, this is a place they go. If they have a refusal, they refuse to do something, this is the consequence. So what it is a series of cubicles. And they always have to be with a buddy. They're never alone. So here you have some kids in here with buddies and staff, and they might be doing homework. They might just be sitting and thinking. Actually, Caitlin spent about 3 days under the table over there when she was in the program. We can come out for 3 days. So you never know. We're here for the kids, but we're really here for the whole unit, because we can't fix the kids and we can't work with the kids and not work with the parents. That will never work. So that's our goal. It's a hefty goal.
I'm really tight with my friends. We do everything together. And whatever happens, they look out for me.
Go, go.
The addiction is not just the drug itself, but it's making the drug and then taking the drug and then making it again and non-stop. And it ruins a lot of lives. I've seen it ruin a lot of lives. I've seen a lot of people make decisions where in one case we kicked in a door on our SRT entry, and it was for a meth lab. And the minute we opened the door, the guy grabbed his child like a shield and ran through the side of the house. And that's something that's etched in my memory that I'll never forget that day. I mean, we're talking a baby in diapers still, just a baby, an infant. And afterwards, after the guy spent a few days in jail, and he realized what he'd done. He said, I can't believe I did that with my child. And he said, I didn't know if it was the police raiding my house, if it was someone coming to rob me for my drugs. I didn't know who it was. But his instinct was to grab his child and use it as a shield.
But the way to quit drugs is to find you one friend or two friends that you grew up with that still associate with you, because a lot of straight people don't. And just make yourself available to that two people and have them help you. And don't lie anymore. And if you got relatives that are on drugs, don't lie for them. Somebody asks how you doing, you tell them, oh, they're high, they're doing drugs. That way people won't be giving them money and helping them out, enabling them. That I got from the NA meetings, the word enable. Don't do that.
Had he been sober, had he not been using the drug, never would have done it. But that it changes people that much.
I wanted to find the best practices state in terms of who was dealing with this realistically. I discussed it with Governor Schweitzer up in Montana because I had heard that they were making some interesting approaches to raising overall awareness.
We have a revolution going on in Montana, and that is that this is a horrible drug. We're perfectly aware of it, and we are clearly hitting it head on.
The idea of the Meth Project was to launch a large-scale prevention effort focused at people who had not yet tried methamphetamine, to educate them about the product attributes, under the notion that were they so educated and understood the actual benefits and the actual risks associated with the product, that they would be in a position to make a better informed product consumption decision when they were given the opportunity to consume.
So in 2005, an individual part-time resident in the state of Montana by the name of Tom Siebel decided to use some of his resources in combating the meth problem. And he became an independently wealthy individual by marketing techniques. So the Montana Meth Project is really based on pretty simple marketing strategies integrated with some good sound prevention strategies.
Just like we address the problem at Oracle, and just like we address the problem at Gain, and just like we address the problem or the opportunity at Siebel Systems, we try to distill the problem to a simple problem statement. Okay, we try to refine the problem well.
The marketing strategy are what is the perception and the knowledge and the awareness of methamphetamine and the dangers of the drug.
Then we assembled, a partner ecosystem, capital, human capital, talent, and put together a plan focused on addressing the problem.
We then contracted with the creative entity out of California who actually came and spent some time in the state, interviewed many kids, interviewed recovering addicts, interviewed professionals in treatment, and asked kids basically in a formal and informal way, what is it we need to do to create a media campaign that will get your attention? And they basically said three things loud and clear all across the state pretty uniformly. One is we do not want to have adults lecturing us. Volume goes down when we have adults standing in front of us, hammering away on dangers of drugs. It just doesn't work. The second is they wanted to hear from other teenagers. They wanted to hear about what's going on for them in their lives. And the third, sort of like almost in a challenging way, they didn't believe that we could do a television ad that was going to get their attention, that was going to kind of break through the clutter on TV. If you think about kids in today's world, what is it that they have had a lot of? That is a lot of action, a lot of edgy material in front of them for a long time. So they said, it needs to be eye-catching, it needs to have a strong message, it needs to break through the clutter. So that's when the television ads were developed.
I love my boyfriend.
We've been together since like 8th grade. He's my best friend. He takes care of me.
You have 24 seconds, literally, to make a message that a kid will listen to. So with that, then, the media campaign is a multimedia strategy. It's got a unifying theme, not even once. And that theme came from listening really to addicts saying and telling, you know, I wish I'd never used this drug. Or the first time I used this drug, I was on my path of addiction. Now, we don't believe that that's necessarily true for everyone. We just know that that's true for many, and that's a self-report. And you know, we believe that kids and parents and communities needed to understand that using methamphetamine is like playing Russian roulette. And as a parent, I don't want my kid to play that game. I don't want him to even take the first use of methamphetamine because I don't know what will happen to him. This drug is so incredibly powerfully addictive. And I think there are some people who are more set up than others to go down this dark path of addiction to methamphetamine. So we used all of that information and all of that hours, hundreds of hours of work, and created our ad campaign. And what we found out in this state is probably what many states are experiencing now, and that is about 33% of the kids in Montana said that they had been offered methamphetamine. About 60% of kids did not see any harm in using methamphetamine. In fact, many kids saw some benefits. It helped you lose weight, it helped you make friends, it helped you feel better. And many of them didn't have conversations with their parents about the dangers of methamphetamine. And I think the scariest figure is about 24% of the kids said to us that they have someone that they know who used methamphetamine. So if kids don't see a risk in using it, if they see some benefit in using it, parents aren't talking to them about the dangers of methamphetamine, it's available and they know people who use it, you wrap that all up and we know that we're playing with fire here in this state. And when the Montana Meth Project started in 2005, our use rate was about 9.3% of high schoolers, and in a 2-year time, we've seen a reduction of 45%. 45% less kids in our high schools reported using methamphetamine in their lifetime in the last 2 years. So we believe that a large part has to do with the media campaign, increasing awareness, increasing dialogue, increasing communication. We've seen an increase in parent-child communication. We've seen an increase amongst the teens being aware about the dangers of methamphetamine. You know, I think it also has to do with law enforcement talking to kids, and teachers talking to kids, and coaches talking to kids, and kids talking to kids. Paint the State. We believe it's the largest public art contest ever held with teenagers. The idea was, well, let's use their incredible creative energy and have them take the theme, not even once, and put it to practice in an art form. We hoped we would get a couple hundred pieces of art across the state. As it turned out, we had over 1,000 kids register, and we had 660 pieces of art completed. So that is, if you drove from the northwest corner to the southeast corner, you would see the Not Even Once Paint the State art contest in all its form. We had photographers all over the state taking pictures. Kids had us submit their art piece online, so we were able to do our website, and we went through a whole process of judging. What we have heard from kids, as you can well imagine, and communities, is it really rallied communities in very small towns to reservation towns to bigger towns. And so the kids far exceeded our expectation, and we have incredible pieces of art, and some of it's still up.
Strategic philanthropy is about the creation of ideas that we think might affect a positive change. In the state of Montana, for example, teenage methamphetamine use has decreased by 50% in the last 2 years. Meth crimes are down 63%. Adult meth use is down 70%. This is the most successful prevention effort of any kind in history. And so it's a very, very exciting project. This is strategic philanthropy.
You know, I believe that in Montana, we really, truly have operationalized the concept of thinking about a three-prong approach in dealing with methamphetamine. We need strong and informed and dedicated law enforcement.
I'm seeing that Montana's putting in a long-term treatment center, which is going to be huge for our area. We have a lot of wilderness lodges, we have youth programs, we have a lot of organizations out there working very hard together in cooperation with each other, such as the Montana Meth Project.
We need a very clear, articulated prevention message, not even once.
We began in Montana in September of 2005. We have engaged in very large-scale messaging focused at young people in the state, broadcasting these messages on TV, radio, print, display, internet, and it has been exceptionally effective in reducing methamphetamine use.
And we need treatment. We need treatment to think about different strategies in dealing with this incredible drug once people begin to use that and go down that path of addiction.
Relatively soon in the recovery process, someone has to be able to see that recovery is worth it, that sobriety isn't going to be dull and boring, as most of these guys will think.
Most of the guys, after a week of intensive hiking and doing that, will start to understand and develop some recovery skills that are higher level for this age range. In particular, related to step 3, a lot of willingness and acceptance.
So did you hate me when I sent you away?
Oh yeah. They'll get those concepts just because if they don't, there's immediate consequences in the wilderness, which they may not get in a group room back here at Wilderness Treatment Center.
I would have been dead within a week if my mom hadn't sent me away.
There has to be some seriousness in the beginning to understand the severity of how this disease affects a person, how it's affected their families.
My use has certainly just affected many of my loved ones in a very negative way. But rather than dwell on that too much and feel sorry for myself for having done the really terrible things that I've done, I try to use that more as incentive to go another day sober.
Get out!
This isn't normal. But on meth, it is.
Let's go! Let's go! Come on!
I think if you're very clear about what you want to accomplish, you can accomplish what it is we've accomplished in Montana. I know that we are a leading state in solving this problem. I'm proud to be a Montanan. I'm proud of all the work and effort everyone in the state has done. And most importantly, actually, I'm proud of the decision the kids are making.
Now I've been clean for almost 7 years. I'm working every day trying to fight this horrible, horrible epidemic in our country, and married, have a beautiful daughter, and life is, you know, it's going.
You're always going to do what you want to do, and I know for me, I don't want to go back to what I was doing. Like, I'm very passionate about that, and I'm really passionate about my goals and like what I want to pursue in my life.
A 45% reduction in methamphetamine use is really because kids are deciding that this is a dangerous drug and they don't want to play Russian roulette with their lives. And they're the winners here.
These kids are now more trusted, they're more confident, so now the idea is for them to be in service to others and to kind of pay back or give back, and also to understand that they have value and worth and they can do these things.
I want to talk to these kids, some of my friends that I love and trust, some of my sister's friends. I want to even be able to say that to my sister. Just let them know how easy it is to be in this position.
It's important, especially to see relatively early on that sobriety can be fun.
There's a delicate, I think, dance between a system which would put some boundaries on behavior and not crushing people with those boundaries, but allowing them to, with growing responsibility, with growing understanding, with growing learning, with a new brain that's no longer being affected by the drugs, to allow that to expansively grow back into the person that they began living with before their drug addiction, and can then grow beyond that.
We need to continue this messaging. We need to continue our combined efforts. You know, this is a full court press in Montana, and we've only just begun. We can't sit back on our laurels and say, look, great, 45% less kids are using methamphetamine. We're done. We're not done. It takes a whole generation, and as they age into the higher risk years, actually, of 18 to 24, they have to carry with them that strong personal commitment not to use methamphetamine. And when that happens, then we will start seeing the reduction in our prisons, we will start seeing the reduction in the treatment load and dealing with this awful drug. So that's what we are about.